In 2002, while running for president of her native Colombia, Ingrid Betancourt was kidnapped by guerrilla soldiers, part of a group known as the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, or FARC. She was taken at gunpoint deep into the jungle where she would spend the next 6 years in captivity. Far from her friends and her family, including her 2 teenage children, Ingrid is telling her story tonight in a lecture at the Royal Ontario Museum, and she joins us now. Good morning.
Hi, Lisa.
Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much.
I was saying earlier that if your story wasn't true, if it was made into a movie, it would be hard for anyone to accept it because it is so staggering. We'll start from the beginning. You were going to be a nominee for the presidency of Colombia. You were touring the country. On the day of February 23rd, 2002, your car stopped, and you looked out, and I understand that you had been trained. You knew that potentially there were people out there that might want to do you harm, and one of the things you would watch for were the shoes of soldiers. And if they were made of leather, you knew that they were official, and if they were made of rubber, you had trouble.
Yes, absolutely. That's how it happened. There was a barrage, and some guys in uniform came to the car, and they had the same uniforms as the military of my country, so it was impossible to just make the difference. So I looked at the boots, and yes, they were rubber boots, and then I knew we were in trouble.
And what happened then?
They took us deep in the jungle, first by car and then in canoes. And then we were in this maze of canals and waterways, and every time deeper, and every time with the sensation that escaping would be so much more difficult because we were really adding kilometers of distance between civilization and where we were taken to.
How many were in your group?
Guerrillas with us were about, I would say, 50. And I was abducted with another person. And as the years were adding by, groups were united, groups of prisoners. So we had, at one point, a prison of captives of about 60 persons in the jungle. It was really like a concentration camp in the middle of the jungle.
I'm sure there wasn't really a typical day, but can you describe what a day was like?
Well, it was very appalling in the sense that we would wake up before dawn, and we would be walking for the whole day, 5 a.m. to 4 p.m. before dusk. And during that walk, we were, of course, in between armed guys that would thrust us to walk at their pace. We didn't know where we were going. It was difficult because we were not properly fed. We had to carry our backpacks, which, of course, were heavy because it was everything we had, including the tent or whatever we needed to sleep. And when we arrived to the place, we had very little time to just get into whatever river there was, to just have a little bath, and then construct the tent and sleep to the next day. Of course, what people have to imagine is that this was the jungle. I mean, it's not like walking in the park. So it's anacondas, tarantulas, jaguars, I mean, everything, piranhas. I mean,
as I was reading through your story and doing research, what I kept wondering is what place do you go to? Because these people were holding you prisoner, but actively trying to break you as a human being and break your spirit.
yes.
How did you remain intact?
Well, I think that faith was important for me. Faith in the sense that I had an image, an example. Well, I'm Christian or Catholic, and it was for me an image of somebody that had suffered and that had, kept his dignity in sufferance. So that was for me something that was really important, just to know that anything that could happen to me, I had to protect my soul, who I was. And there were things that were like challenging. I remember, for example, in that prison, the first night we were all together, there was this roll call, 4 a.m. and I didn't know what it was about. And the guy was shouting, number yourselves. And so I saw that my fellow prisoners began saying 1, and then the second 2, and so on, because we needed to be counted. And when it arrived to my turn to speak, I refused to say a number, because I
wanted
thought
you to give up your name.
Yeah, no, and I said Ingrid Betancourt, and if you want to know if I'm here, you just call by my name. And it was really a difficult moment because my fellow hostages were very cross with me. They thought we were going to be punished because I was, having this kind of attitude. And then, curiously, the commander came the next day, and everybody was very afraid, I remember. And he said, Ingrid, I need to talk to you. And, I understand your point, and we're doing this because it's easier, but if you don't accept it, we will call you by your name. And this was something very important for me. And I think for all the hostages, in the sense that you have at one point in your life, even if it's so difficult, you have to say no for things that are essential for you.
That was one moment of compassion, obviously, but there were so many that were so devastating and horrific. You tried to escape a number of times, and like you pointed out, you're in the middle of the jungle, which is one of the most treacherous places on earth. You were never successful with your escape attempts, and in the last, they decided to put a chain around your neck. And how many years did you spend with that?
4 years. 4 years with the chain around my neck, chained to a tree, isolated from my fellow hostages. Treated really like an animal. I mean, forbidden to speak to anyone.
Was it the thoughts of your children that kept you alive?
Yes, I mean, of course, the love. I mean, you need to feel, when you are in this situation where everything around brings a picture of you, an image of you that is diminishing. Mm-hmm. You have to grab the things that keep you like alive and that keep you consistent with yourself. And love is the most important. Knowing that you're loved, knowing that you are important to someone, that you, even if people around you tell you that you are a number or an animal, you are, for those that you care of, you are important for them. So that's the reason to just get going and
the idea
and not
that
give
someone
up.
out there loved you.
Yes, that was very important for me.
On July 2nd, 2008, your hands and feet are bound. You're marched to a helicopter along with your other prisoners. And did you think that this was the end for you?
Oh, no.
That day?
No. We thought, because you see, the thing is that day they told us that there was this European Commission that was coming to talk to us. And there was no European Commission. There was a bunch of guys coming out of a helicopter, very Latin. I mean, the way they were speaking and acting. And so it was clear that it was not a European Commission. And for us, we understood that they were friends of the guerrillas. They were acting very friendly. They were calling them by their names, and they had T-shirts of the Che Guevara. And I mean, very. So we thought, these are guys from the FARC, and we're going to be taken in this helicopter deeper in the jungle. You know, the jungle is immense. I mean, we're talking about 8 million kilometers of jungle.
And that you'd be lost forever at that point.
Yes. So when we went in and the door shut, all the prisoners were in, and 2 commanders of the FARC were with us, with the crew that came in the helicopter. We took altitude, and then there was this kind of fight inside the helicopter, and we didn't know what was happening. And suddenly, the 2 commanders of the guerrilla were neutralized, and one of the guys shouted very loud in this helicopter with the noise of the motors, with everything, and he shouted, "We are the Colombian army, you're free." It was, I mean, I'm telling this to you, and I'm feeling the emotion of that moment. It was
Because
incredible.
did you really think it would ever come?
No, and not in that moment, and not like that. It was like a miracle, a dream come true.
And then you were reunited with your children, who were teenagers when you were taken, now young adults when you came back. What was it like to see them?
It was a very, it was a moment, you see, I didn't have any image of my children for those 6 years. I just could only imagine how they had grown up. And I had this image of them thinking, okay, Melanie must look like this, now she's 23, and Lorenzo, I let them, they were 16 and 13. And when I came back, they were, I mean, Lorenzo was 19, Melanie was 22. So it was really, and then they came in a plane. I was waiting for them in the tarmac in Bogota. I was already in Bogota, liberated. They were coming from France. The door of the plane opened. I climbed the stairs, and then I saw them, and they were so much more beautiful than what I thought. They were just, and they were with this incredible light. And during, of course, the time that I had been with my mother in Bogota, those few hours before they came, she had told me all they had done, how they had fought for my freedom. I was in awe, truly, in admiration, and you know, it was a very powerful moment for me.
We have to wrap up in a moment, but how are you now? Where is your life today? Do you feel, I don't suspect you can ever recover from something like this, or can you?
I think you can, but you have to adapt to the new who you are, because you change, your priorities change, the things that are important for you changes. So right now I'm studying. I got back to study. I'm doing a PhD in theology in Oxford. So I'm completely into you know, discussion of essential things that we don't think about when we're working. Who we are, what's life, the purpose of being human, all those things that we should, you know, give some time. And now it's for me the opportunity to do it. So I think I'm blessed.
Well, thank you so much for being here this morning and sharing your story. And there's so much more, and Ingrid will be speaking tonight at the Royal Ontario Museum if you would like to hear that. Ingrid Betancourt, thank you so much.